Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton here with Brandon. Game 3 of the Holy Grail War. Illya versus Dark Sakura. Illya and Berserker in blue, Dark Sakura in red. This is one that I think is particularly interesting because we're talking about one of the top new combos from Heaven's Feel 2 in that Dark Sakura top end, Brandon.
Realistically, the whole game is built around getting to that point, helping to keep board state, keep field, trying to stick around until we get that level 3 game and then close out with the level 3. Typically, that's done by changing from the back row the Dark Sakura that you're able to then change out your servant characters into the altar characters, depending on what level you're at. In many ways, it's kind of like a fake standby effect. You're changing out the servant characters into 1/2s or 2/2 characters on field for essentially a reduced stock count. Save in stock for that end game to be able to explode your opponent. Facing off against the strongest hero ever, Berserker.
Illya Berserker is an interesting deck. It doesn't get a whole lot of press, mostly because I think it was kind of like the third deck for a lot of people in the earlier Fate stuff behind 8-bar and Red. But it's really gotten a revamped level 1 game with a new combo. The level 1 gate is on attack, top check 4, add 1 if you have 5 or less stock. It also sits at 5/5, 6/5 with the combo, so it's a little bit bigger on defense. I think this is useful. It doesn't need the reverse. It's on the pants trigger, which can help set up the level 3 game, which is on the book. The Relationship of Trust, Illya Berserker. It gets a little bit of power. When it attacks, mill 5 and deal X equal to the number of climaxes revealed. So, decent endgame combo. Can close from 3-0. It's usually going to do 6 instances of damage if you have 3 down. And it's a free combo, too. It doesn't, there's no payment or pitching on play. So, pretty solid top end with a level 1 combo that consistently pluses into hand and can potentially plus on board. I think there's a lot to like here. It does have the early play stock healer as well. It has the bonder for the level 1 combo. A little more consistency in getting its combos together because it runs the pants trigger. And obviously, 4 copies of the Azusa, because everything runs the Azusa basically in Fate. So it's a good deck. It's not super explosive. It doesn't have any particularly broken interactions. But it's consistent and it does a lot well. So I think that it deserves a little bit more praise than it's gotten. So now let's get to the actual gameplay. For me, obviously, level 1 combo is really important. Try to get there first. Trying to get the oversized Berserker that needs to be clocked for the early play stock healer down, because it goes to the bottom of the deck when it dies. And it's also just, 4,000 power oversize at level 0.
Yeah, for me, part of it really comes into, can I get the altar pieces into the waiting room? Which I have one of each now, both in there. So that's been a really good starting hand for me for that regard.
This Illya is okay.
Beyond that, it's trying to figure out how to cancel.
This Illya is okay. It's a on play top check. If it's a character, add it and pitch one. You can also pay 1 to draw a card. So it's fine. A little bit of mill, a little bit of hand fix. It's probable that you will see both printings of that Illya Azusa in these videos. I own a couple copies of the original, and the rest of these are proxies of the new one.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
So I don't remember which deck has
It's
the real ones, but you'll see both versions of the same card over the course of the next couple of weeks.
It is worth noting that, especially for the Sakura deck, that the Azus has a little bit weird here. Partly because the deck itself has to have like a very delicate balance between master and servant. So, like, with the Azus, you have a more likely chance to miss on this one. I haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
You saw me grab the level 3 combo piece, but it's just worth noting that, especially in the Sakura deck, it adds a very effective piece of mill, but you also have a very limited card pool as to what you can target for it.
Talk about the use of the Archer promo real quick that's in your front row.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The Archer on attack can grant power to a different character on field. So you're allowing to be able to essentially almost help guarantee a lane with the swing of power. 1500 power is a pretty big swing, especially at 0. But it's also pretty useful as you go down the road later. It's also a servant character, which is another valid target for the changing into an altar character. So it meets a lot of the different kind of requirements you would need for level 0 in this deck for a lot of different utility pieces. I see you're using the Bonder to go get level 1 combo.
Yeah, and this is one of those this is one of the things that we're going to see, I think, change in the way that people play Fate. With the new stuff is that most of the new stuff does not require a reverse at level 1. So whereas, like, you saw in game 1 how, Sakura and Saber are kind of dancing around each other because they both need reverses and they don't want to give the other targets, Illya's, a lot more willing to be aggressive at 0.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't matter if your opponent has reverse targets on board. Illya would rather have characters in those slots on defense to prevent soul damage than, worry too much about dealing with reverse combos.
Yeah. And I think, especially in this matchup too, knowing that my combo is a on attack,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
salvage combo, like it's
it
siding the characters there was a pretty good way of helping to try to prevent additional damage coming through.
yeah. Ultimately, it just doesn't matter. Like it doesn't. You don't need to. It lets you play more aggressively when your opponent requires a non-reverse combo.
Yeah.
As much as, obviously it's to your advantage to deny the combo when you can, but if that's not an option to you, it makes the level 1 game more straightforward, and it also pushes the pace of the game more because you are more incentivized to have a full board when you swing on every turn. So you just used the Sakura.
I did. So I have a 1-2 now out there. Saber's looking pretty big.
How big does she get?
Massive. She gets 500 per every other and base 7k, so right now she is 8-5.
And that sticks around, right? That power is consistent?
Yeah, that power is a continuous effect. She also then has character card Encore. so she can stick around as long as I have characters in hand.
And if you have a servant down, you're basically, like you called it a fake standby effect earlier, but it's even better in a way because you can immediately use whatever it is that you brought out. You are
Mm-hmm.
stuck bringing out only things that are at the level that you're at. It's not, it's not bringing out stuff
Well,
that's a level further up.
well, and it's even one step even farther removed from that. I can only get those alter characters,
Right.
specifically the 1/2 and then the 2/2 Berserker. Well, what's beneficial about this is I could actually turn the 1/2 Saber altar into the 2/2 Berserker
Right.
altar.
And it's probably going to stay alive because of how big it is. And even if it
Yeah.
doesn't, you can hand encore it.
Yeah. So like it sets up a pretty nice board and then keeps that board around.
Mm-hmm. The Berserker, of course, doesn't stand for me, my level 0 Berserker, because I don't have any other Illyas at my draw step.
Mm-hmm. Which was the added benefit for me to decide into it, because knowing that you can't stand essentially gives you a dead card on field. And so far, Sakura's keeping pretty well pace with Illya regarding damage. So I'm kind of like on target for what I need to be for the deck in terms of the end game. Essentially, the mid game play is either bringing out the Sakura level 1 combo or using like the drop search to search and then turn the drop search into one of the other servant characters. So I'm constantly bringing things back to hand. Because the back row Sakura just is a discard a card, remove the servant character from field to change it into the other servant character. It doesn't cost additional stock, so it allows me to help build up that stock pretty quickly.
So I hit 3 on that brainstorm. I knew I was going to hit something, but man, that was definitely more than I expected. I think I have 1 left in deck at this point, but I already had my combo. I was literally just brainstorming because I knew I was going to hit. And also, getting climaxes out of deck and into waiting room before refresh is also nice.
Yeah. So essentially, this combo that you're doing is just additional plussing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even real, like, you have all the pieces you want.
Yeah.
Looking at 2 cards this time to be able to get that kind of almost like a better plus on the last one.
I wasn't planning on hitting 3. One of the challenges with these, Maguro type combos, you can't always. Part of the idea is that you want to be able to mill through, 15 cards. But if you're already into the lower part of your deck, if it took you a turn longer to get to your combo or, whatever reason, you're kind of stuck leaving the pants on board, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing because it means you have a target if you trigger the pants on your next turn. So, there's some good and bad. It's not ideal in terms of compression, but 5/5 on defense, which is, decent size. Smaller than the Saber Altar, obviously. And now I have a full hand to boot.
Double checking the brainstorm.
Yep, because the brainstorm also gives power on defense, so the Illyas are now sitting at, I believe, 6.
Yeah, they're much bigger than I was expecting.
Well, the thing that makes it work is, I mean, it's not obviously like, 6 itself isn't that great, but it's something that you can use a backup with. And because you're running the pants, it's not bad to keep those on board because you're more likely to, add the level 1 combo back into your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So looping the combo isn't the goal necessarily, but it's still pretty viable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, playing the backup to keep it on board, saves you the card, and playing the combo pluses that card right back into your hand. So, not to mention you win board again. So, it's nice if you can get it. It's a nice little bonus if you can get it.
I use the drop search to get the Berserker into hand, the Berserker altar, knowing that I'm about to refresh my deck here.
Mm-hmm. So that you can pitch it
I'm
out.
Yeah. Yep, so I can get it in the next go round, the next level.
Yeah, because basically what the Sakura lets you do is it lets you play over one of your characters with a cost 2 character for free. Because you pitch that card out of your hand and then move it from waiting room to field.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is like a pretty fantastic tool.
It is.
As long as the pieces that's bringing out are quality, and I think that this saber is actually pretty well worth it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, especially at level 1, it's bigger than even Data Life's standby targets.
At level 1, yeah, because right now it's sitting at 10k.
Mm-hmm. So, what is going on with this combo?
So, based off of the number of other climaxes, I can salvage up to that level, which right now is 2. So you saw me salvage the 2/2 Berserker.
Mm-hmm.
Partly because I have a secondary copy of the 1/0 back row in hand. So I can turn in to get 2 Berserkers on the next turn.
Yep. And even if you lose one of the Sakura combo lanes, paying one to restand it, or to encore it rather, and then pitching one out of hand to replace it with the 2/2 doesn't feel terrible. Especially because you're running as many salvage triggers as you are.
Right? 8 salvage?
It's funny. In Fate, 8 salvage can be like 4 different decks now.
I don't think that this is going to be the level 1 combo of choice for most people.
No.
It's a really odd combo, but when you're basically just turning cards from hand into the cards you want on stage, it doesn't really matter what the plus is in this case.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's also a salvage, so it means that, if you can salvage anything, then you can choose to salvage a servant so that you have something either you can have on field that you can replace, or you can choose your target so that you can pitch it and immediately put it on. No, there's a lot to like here. It's not super powerful. Like it doesn't plus you a ton. I don't think your hand is going to be very big.
Yeah.
But
and that's realistically what this deck runs into, is it needs hand size to be able to keep things on board. Especially in this case, because you're at level 2, being able to play that early play.
And lucking into having 2 of those in stock as well.
Yeah.
Like, you heal from the bottom of the
early
clock,
play condition,
so it doesn't really make a difference. Like, you heal from the bottom of the clock, so whatever's on top, you can heal it down. But still, like, that's just funny.
It was well timed, because I'm like, okay, now this early play can actually step over my 1/2, so I'm gonna need to discard for hand for that to keep it around before even trying to change that into something else. So it's like, This deck really wants to stay close to you and not let you get too far ahead.
Right. Well, because
But
you have such an
having
explosive endgame.
Yeah.
And also, like, that's one of the reasons why the Saber Alterer drop search is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Is because it can, go get you whatever, but it's also a servant on board that can be replaced.
Absolutely. Like that is one of the staple cards in this deck. Partly for that very reason.
Yeah, I think Bushiroad did a really good job overall designing the flavor of the Fate sets. Which is why, the Holy Grail War, this thing that we're doing, is viable, is because the interactions are interesting.
You're definitely moving pretty quickly through this deck on this kind of second go round.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Azusa is so important, especially in this deck, because basically everything, that isn't a Berserker is a target. Like, the level 3 combo is a target, the level 1 combo is a target, the early play is a target, the back row support, the Brainstormer, like, those are all useful. Early play healers are obviously good and important. I'm always hesitant to play more than one, unless it's a stock healer. I really like the Illya stock heal.
It's just the Illya stock heal is just so strong.
Mm-hmm. This is a mistake on my part. I have the back row backwards, basically. The 2-1 support should be behind the level 3s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the most egregious mistake, but, like, it's not great. How big is the Sakura? Across from the Illya?
Oh, small.
Yes, like the Illya, like the combo Illya didn't need the power.
Yeah.
So that's just a mistake. But and now the pants gets me my combo. Probably. I think so. We'll find out in a second.
I'm pretty sure.
Like, I mean, my deck is almost empty. Like, I know, like, I know it's there.
Yeah.
If I pass on it, it's because I had it in hand already.
So.
Nope, there it is. Ditching the Illya to keep it alive, so you can swap into the Berserker.
Yeah, well, that and the Illya is not a target that I can change into another card. So, like, for me, that's a double play. That's the biggest play there because, like, even if I bring the Illya to field, I can probably get another master off of it, but it's not going to be what I'm looking for. I'm not in the right deck state for the 2-1 to be of any use at this point.
Right.
Like, realistically, I'll probably get to 3 before clonking it there makes the most sense.
Yeah, because you don't really have, like, a traditional Brainstormer in this. So, at least I don't think there's really a Brainstormer in this list. So the only mill you really have is the Azusa.
And right now, I think my deck's decently compressed. It's like I think my stock's pretty clean, so like just being in the right spot to be able to help close out this game.
Yeah, I think I have one climax left in deck at this point. Maybe.
Yeah, for me, I'm getting the end game pieces ready. Like,
Yeah. You're gonna have the stock. Like you're gonna have 9 stock, so it's not like you're not gonna be short. And that's one of the great things about the Sakura combo is that it literally pays for itself.
yeah,
In terms of both its stock and its ditch.
hmm being able to get that salvage early. Getting the second Berserker on field. And I'm looking at this Illya in the middle, because this Illya in the middle is, like, still pretty large. The back row assist and...
Yeah, with the 500 level assist, I think it's 13.
Yeah.
Because it also gets the power from the Brainstormer.
That is the one downside of running the Sakuras in the back, is that I don't get any additional power with that. So, like, it's... As much as it's pretty useful to get those cards onto field, I don't really have another way of supporting those cards on field.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, like, they have Encore within themselves, so, like, they can stick around if they need to.
Right.
But at the same time, it's just a matter of making sure I get enough. Because even with, like, the Berserker gets power on attack, but it only really gets up to about 11.5. So your 13.5 is just a little bit too big. I also don't have the hand size to really want to save either of those characters.
Yeah.
Partly just because I'm pretty positive I'm getting to level 3.
Yeah. And at this point, getting to level 3 isn't so bad because, I mean, I'm at 2.5, probably about to be 2.6, because I maybe can heal once, but I also, you know I have 2 stock healers down.
Yeah. And because you don't have the early play condition in field,
Right.
like...
So, like, I'm going to be 2.6, and you can close from 2.6. So at this point, I'm concerned about compression.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, gonna pay out what I triggered. And that's one of the ones that you just don't mind missing. Because like at this point, my board is about as good as I can have it.
Yeah.
And now you just hope you don't trigger. Because my stock is clean. I have the book in hand for the combo, which I'm holding at this point. So
Yeah.
I stick 7. Now I know I need to live. That's the challenge now, is just staying alive. Because realistically, like, I don't know. I don't know if trying to lock you at 2 is the play there.
Um,
Like, it might be. and then trying to close the next turn with my level 3 combo. But at that point, I'm still trying to close from, I'm trying to close you from 2-5. I don't think you really have access to early play heal, because I think the only early play heal in your colors is the Ream.
Yeah, I didn't plan any kind of early play heal. At this point, I'm just trying to make sure that I have the right ratio of pieces ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make sure I get some of the climaxes I've collected in hand into waiting room.
Yeah.
I'm also pretty sure I don't have the climax for the end game combo at this point. So I'm like trying to figure out how do I draw into it.
Right. And the 2-1 obviously draws you one for free. Anytime you play one of the Sakura combos, you get to draw 2, ditch 1. So you have some access to the top of your deck at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do think that the Sakura combo is going to be super important for Fate going forward. I think it's going to be the top end of choice.
And finally draw into it.
Well, that's one of the things that is great about this combo is not only does it pay for itself with the draw ditch and the blind stock 3 on attack, it also can literally just dig 6 for the combo itself. And 6 cards is a lot for an Icy Tail.
It is. For the bird 1, and then swing for cancels.
Another one of the things about the Icy Tail that's really nice is the fact that it continues into the next deck. So you can force the refresh.
Yeah, and then you could even reveal the same climax twice. And
yeah. I definitely revealed those from the top of the deck instead of the bottom, but we're just going to pretend that didn't happen.
I mean, realistically, deck state should be the same either way on an unrevealed deck. But whatever. On attack, the 3 again. Because the Sakura is small,
mm-hmm.
I kind of have to kind of go all in as this being the last one.
Yep.
Get you to 3/6. Which, I mean, it went through 7. It went 7 damage.
Yeah, which is, that's kind of the objective.
And the fact that one of the Icy Tails hit a blank, I think is like the most telling thing. Like, if that one hit one more, it would have been enough.
And that's the thing. You're swinging for 3x, 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 and probably a guaranteed damage off of a refresh. Just because you're milling your opponent an absolute minimum of 21 cards. Realistically, probably closer to 27. So most endgame deck states are going to be smaller than that.
However, in the midst of that combo, I went through a significant number of climaxes, so I'm out quite a bit.
This is me trying to make sure that I'm not going to, mill myself to death by accident.
Right, exactly. That's why you grab the healer. Playing the healer. Is that way you survive?
Yeah.
Notably, you discard one of the climaxes for the combo.
Yes.
Which makes me think that you have an additional one in hand. I'm just like, okay, so he played the early play. That's not an early play, it's just a healer at this point. Berserker doesn't heal on play. You hit one on the brainstorm, because of course you do.
I think I'm trying to get to the refresh at this point because... Oh, here comes a combo. So the Berserker has Draw Ditch. I mean, obviously, I'm at 3-5, so, like, it's kind of win or go home at this point.
No, yeah, no, for your combo itself. So that way, when you mill, if you reveal your climaxes, you can.
Triggering the book never feels great with this combo. Because, like, the whole idea is you burn for every climax you milled, so... But... And then there's the 4 for lethal.
Able to, I think, show off both top ends, which I think is really good for a showcase like this.
Yeah.
Especially how lethal I think those top ends are. Looking at the bracket, Illya gets the win here. Dark Sakura moves into the Lesser Grail. With that, we have most of our first round completed. Last up, we have our Kirei versus Gilgamesh deck. We get to see the King of Heroes versus the Overseer of the Grail.
And we will see that tomorrow as round 1 of the Holy Grail War wraps up. Round 2, so that game will be tomorrow, and then on Sunday and Monday, we will have round 2 of the main bracket. We'll start with Saber and Caster on Sunday. The winner of that game will face the winner of Illya versus the winner of tomorrow's game in the final. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we will play the Lesser Grail games, which are currently Sakura and Reen. And then Dark Sakura will take on whoever loses tomorrow. So, please be sure to join us tomorrow. It's going to be a weird one. Kirei and Gilgamesh are both very, very strange decks. Should be a lot of fun. Until then, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.